Porsche Taycan is definitely talk of the town right now, especially Frankfurt, Germany, where the Frankfurt Auto Show is going on right now. I was there for media days. As you can see, this is me and the beautiful red Taycan hanging out together. There were quite a few Taycans there, 6 or 7, and definitely it is the news of the month. However, Tesla is not letting Taycan steal a spotlight for too long, and it's coming back with a Plaid mode that Elon Musk announced, saying that they are going to put the powertrain originally meant for the Roadster into the Model S, into the Model X, and essentially kind of outdo Porsche on their own turf. Now, the reservation list for Porsche was pretty big, and now that they announced the price, I'm not really sure if it's really going to stay that big, because I think a lot of people will fall out and just being outpriced. But I think Tesla is going to cut that list to even a shorter count. But today we're going to talk about what this Plaid mode is. Is Tesla really chasing Taycan for a good reason or not really good reason? And Eli Burton of My Tesla Adventure is going to be here to share his thoughts, because he just bought a Raven Tesla Model S P100D, however you want to call it, and you know, I'm gonna ask him what his take on all of this is. Especially, we all thought that was gonna be the most powerful Tesla Model S for a while, but it looks like in another year it might not be. So let's talk to him in just a couple of minutes. Welcome to E4Electric, your #1 source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button down there. I don't know why I pointed over there, but it's over here. They're both red. That way you won't miss anything moving forward. I think it's because I'm a little jet lag coming from Frankfurt. And listen, I wasn't really lying. Taycan is definitely taking up like a quarter almost of the Volkswagen Group, a humongous haul there. And if you go to my E4Electric Instagram feed or LinkedIn feed, you'll see a few other pictures. But Eli Burton is gonna talk to me about it, because I'm kind of wondering, there's quite a few things that, one, I want him to clarify, and secondly, I just wanted to see how he feels about this, as far as you know, having another Model S update, refresh, what do you want to call it, you know, only a year after this major update just really dropped. And you know, Tesla tweeted it out that basically, as they were testing the car in the Laguna Seca, a little bit modified, that's how they announced the Plaid mode and a chassis with a new prototype. And then Elon clarified that to, you know, saying, yes, to be clear, Plaid powertrain is about a year away from production and applies to S, X, and Roadster, but not 3 or Y. Will cost more than our current offerings, but less than competition. Competition meaning Porsche Taycan. All right, so let's see what Eli thinks about it. Before that, of course, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called M-Byte, coming to the US and Europe in about a year and a half, with a little bit of delay now that we know about it, starting at $45,000, 45,000 euros in Europe, and $0 to make the reservation. About 60 seconds of your time. Go to the description of your video to reserve your Byton today. All right, so without further ado, let's talk to Eli. Eli, welcome back to the show.
Alex, so good to be back on. And I'll tell you what, it's been a fun month in the EV community space, especially as content creators, because Porsche Taycan finally gave us something real to talk about that's finally reaching the Model S, Model X kind of performance range. So I gotta say, it's been a fun month on social media to engage with people as we have another, you know, big time EV into the market.
Absolutely. Well, so I have a few questions to you. Well, first of all, let's just clarify to our audience in what is the Plaid mode and what is it supposed to do for the Model S and Model X?
Okay, so Plaid mode, and this is something that we always knew was coming, but we got to see first unveiled when Tesla, Elon, Franz introduced us to the next-gen Tesla Roadster. And Plaid mode is the next mode of acceleration and speed that goes beyond ludicrous. And by the way, the origin of these, for people who don't know, is based on Spaceballs. So you've got insane speed, you've got ludicrous speed, and then the fastest speed you can go to is maximum Plaid. So we were introduced to maximum Plaid, I think, 2 years ago at the Roadster unveil. We knew the Roadster had a dual rear motor, single front motor, but what we didn't know is that that powertrain was ever going to be an option beyond the Roadster. And what we found out this past week is that the Model S and X, in about a year, it's going to be an upgrade option where you're going to be able to buy maximum plaid on the Model S and X.
So what does it really mean? Does it mean it's going to perform better on the racetrack in terms of, obviously, as we know, Model S and Model X are lacking in being able to be launched over and over and over again, and this is something that Porsche was able to kind of outdo Tesla for the time being? Or do you think the 0 to 60 time is going to improve? What is the actual practical result of that?
So the Raven Model S and X can already launch over and over again. What it can't do is do sustained, very hard, very high speed driving, what is required going around and around a track. So current Model S and X is not a track car. So I think what we can expect from the Maximum Plaid powertrain is a couple things. We're definitely going to get a faster 0 to 60 because we're talking 2 rear motors instead of 1. I think where we're going to see the most significant increase, though, won't be in 0 to 60. It's going to be in the quarter mile, especially on S and X. I'm expecting very low 10 seconds, if not high 9s on quarter mile time, as this dual motor allows the vehicles to continue to accelerate at higher speeds as you get further down the quarter mile. Now, what Tesla has unveiled for us and told us, and Elon has told us on Twitter recently, is that this is all with the Maximum Plaid powertrain, and it's going to be assumed that they're going to have some added cooling, and even some of the pictures that have been released show larger gaps in the front of the car that more airflow can get through, that they're designing the Maximum Plaid powertrain to enable the S and X to actually be track cars. And that's a big deal for Tesla because to date, the Model S and X has never been a great track car. That's been the Performance Model 3. And it sounds like with Maximum Plaid powertrain and chassis, they're going to make the Model S a competitive high-speed track car.
All right, so now, obviously, either the timing of it, the announcement, or just a decision to do this, obviously time with a Porsche Taycan unveiling, and if we go through all of the stats of the Taycan that are pretty impressive, the only thing that Taycan is able to kind of outdo Tesla in is obviously in the track performance, and I think that's what they were targeting. So obviously Tesla is targeting that. They're trying to be best in all categories, but do you think it's a right priority for Tesla? And let me explain a little bit. Of course, being best at everything, and I think they can beat Porsche, right? For the time being. But do you think that this time could maybe be spent plugging some holes that really need help? Like, for example, to me, I would rather go with fixing customer service, fixing the repair shops and the number of repair shops, availability of parts, and stuff that people have been complaining about on all across all of the forums. So that just people are getting really frustrated, and across the world, not just in the US, complaints coming from, Europe and China, fixing stuff like that rather than maybe beating Porsche in this one category just to be the coolest kid on the block in every single category. Do you think the priorities may be a little bit off there with Tesla?
Well, let's be realistic though. So this Maximum Plaid powertrain is something we know they've been working on at least since the unveil of the Roadster, if not sooner, because they had to show it to us in the next gen Roadster, which we got to take a ride in at the unveil. But I mean, like Tesla, Kim actually put out a video about this a couple months ago that she got inside information that they were testing this out in the car. So this has been something they've been working on. I think what we got to see this past week and what we're seeing Elon doing right this past week with what he did at Laguna Seca and what's coming up at Nürburgring is they chose the timing of when they were unveiling one of the next upgrades that's coming after Porsche did their whole thing. And you know what? I think Porsche had it coming because in a lot of Porsche's early marketing about the Taycan and the release of the Taycan and the way they try to be try to just cast aspersion on Tesla and throw shade at Tesla and say that, oh, Tesla can't do repeatable performance. It can't launch repeatedly. It can't do a track. I mean, they set it up pretty perfectly that if Tesla had a tech in the wing, they created this gigantic occasion for Tesla to drop it and everybody go, oh. And that's basically exactly what they did. But do I think Tesla is putting more time into this than they should be because of Porsche? No, I don't think so. I mean, he's talking about this is going to be available in a year. That's not exactly something that's getting ramped up really quick. I just think Tesla took this opportunity to unveil one of their future upgrades based upon the context in the market and the opportunity that Porsche created with all the content they've been putting out in the space.
All right. Well, but I understand that they were working on it for a while, but obviously the timing of the announcement was great. And listen, don't get me wrong, this is great. I agree with you. If they let these guys go like, yeah, we finally beat them, and boom, within a few days, they're like, well, I guess you didn't, or this is coming up. And definitely this is going to mess with their reservations, right? Like their reservations, I think, already going to go down significantly. I think it will be 1/3 left, if you ask me. And then now the people who've been kind of hoping for this may just say, well, I can spend half of it and still get a Tesla, which I already have or like. So this is, as far as marketing concerned, and a business decision is genius. But you can't chase everybody, because right now Porsche, but you know what? In another few weeks, there will be another unveiling. Mercedes is going in production. There are a few other manufacturers, a few different cars are going in production. You can't win it all. You can't chase everybody. I always thought that one thing that Tesla has lacking, greatly, as it's the main reason I don't want to get another Tesla is the customer service. So instead of working on this, and whether they've been working on it already or not is a kind of moot point for me, they could spend their time, maybe hiring people who know how to do customer service, or expanding,
But that's not the way these things work, right? Like, you don't not do future product upgrades and development in exchange for one thing or another, right? Like, I'm totally with you that they need to continue improving customer service. And some of the things I've seen them put in place and the added infrastructure and increasing size of the fleet say they're working on that. But it's not one of those they could do A or B. They need to do A and B, right? Like they can't just be like, all right, we're going to focus on customer service and skip development of future products. Otherwise, they don't have future products a year from now, right? So like,
right.
I don't think they're putting an undue amount of time into future products, especially when we're talking about something like this. So like, this is way less intensive than redesigning or building an entire new car, right? Like, when they're scaling out the Model Y production line, that's going to take a ton of time, a ton of money, a ton of work, ton of headache. That's going to take a huge resource load on the company, far more than this maximum Plaid powertrain is. And I think it is important, though. I think what we're seeing is for consumers, this is one of the great things about competition. Because Porsche came out with something and they found one thing that they could be better at Tesla at, it's now pushed Tesla to continue to stay on the path of developing that. And that's going to result in better, faster, stronger EVs quicker than it would be if there wasn't competition. Think about this. If Porsche hadn't done this announcement, Tesla might have waited 2 years to do the maximum Plaid powertrain. They might have waited 3. And again, every one of these new advancements, it just continues to push the EV space and make electric vehicles even that more compelling than even the best gas cars. Because that's what we're getting at now, right? We're talking about putting a powertrain in the Model S that's going to have this thing competing with supercars. Forget even the next gen Roadster. We're going to put the Model S and X in supercar territory.
Yeah, well, so you know what I really wish, actually? I really wished that, well, I don't wish, but I was just going to say, Taycan could have competed in another category, which is interior space and luxury, right? This is another thing that I think pretty much anybody can beat Tesla, simply because of Tesla's choice of going with a minimalistic, dashboard. And I think, I personally think that Taycan's interior is a mess, and I think they've completely failed there. All right, so I
completely agree, actually. I was expecting their interior to be a lot more luxurious, and when I look at it, it looks cluttered, which is unbelievable for something that has so many screens.
Yeah, and
I don't really understand how they messed that up.
I think I said it before, where it just feels like, a Best Buy just kind of threw up on a dashboard of a 911. You just throw in this little, screens here. There's no harmony between, the old luxury of Porsche and the new technology and flat screens. I don't. Well, okay, all right. Let's talk about you, because I'm kind of wondering, because I remember when you got your car and we were talking about how, listen, this is going to be the best Tesla ever made, and it's going to stay that way for a while, and definitely until Roadster comes out. But now in another year it won't be. So like, how do you feel about that? Did you feel like this is going to be it for a while, or did you kind of imagine that they're going to come up with something within the next 12 months that will be even better?
I expected there to be more improvements to come. I did not expect that Tesla was going to offer the maximum Plaid powertrain on the S and X. If somebody had even asked me that question, I would have said, no, why would they need to do that? I never expect, even with what Porsche did in their move, I still didn't expect Tesla to do that. So no, that caught me by surprise. I think what's going to be interesting is to see what that upgrade costs. My guess is with maximum Plaid powertrain, it's going to be 140, 150, because all Tesla said is it's going to have better performance and yet still be less expensive than our competitors, which obviously they're pointing to that $185K price point for the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. But yeah, I think price is going to be interesting, because like, I don't think I was looking to spend 150K on the new car that I got. I think the fact that I got what I did at about 100,000, 104,000 with the Raven P100D, I'm happy with it. But no, I honestly, I was not expecting something faster to come out. I'd say if there's anything that I'm bummed that I didn't get to be a part of is that they brought back unlimited supercharging a few months after I upgraded. Honestly, I'm more bummed about that than this maximum plaid thing, because this maximum plaid powertrain, Tesla's already communicated, Elon's already communicated, is going to come at an added cost. And I have no interest in tracking my car. I've done it before. It was fun, but I'll tell you what, it was more anxiety inducing than fun for me, because like, you're driving your car at high speed around a track that if things go wrong, I'm not really interested in having to replace my brand new amazing car. So I enjoy the drag strip. I enjoy a lot of other, going out on some fun roads and driving, but the track is not somewhere I really plan on spending very much time.
Yeah, and I remember going to one of the events here in Sacramento, and watching somebody wipe out really hard. I think that guy was okay, but it's people do need to know that you can wipe out on a high speed. It's not like 100% safe guarantee, even though you're wearing a helmet and stuff like that. So, all right, well, so I mean, the reason I'm asking you, right, is because that's my problem. Like, when I was still thinking about getting a Tesla, I was like, well, at what point do I get one so I don't feel like I felt last time, where I ended up within a year of outdated autopilot hardware and an outdated front end, right? And I was like, I never want to do this again. And it kind of happened to you, and that's why I was kind of wondering, like, how do you feel about that?
The biggest thing that happened with me is unlimited supercharging, because really, even the way they communicated this, maximum plaid powertrain is going to be an upgrade. It does not, in no way does it sound like that powertrain is going to be standard. So basically, Tesla's going to be adding a future upgrade package that you can take the car even a little bit further with performance. And it sounds like for track driving, that's going to cost more than the standard powertrain. So,
By the way, explain this to me. Why X? Like, why Model X needs to have a track mode? What kind of person would take SUV slash van, minivan, to the racetrack? I mean, does that sound weird to you? Like, Model S, I get it. It's a sports sedan. But Model X, where's the logic there? I'm missing something.
It sounds like one of those just because, and I think another way to differentiate the Model S and X from the Model 3 and Model Y, keeping in mind that, like, a year from now, year and a half from now, Model Y is going to be on the street. So I think it's just another differentiator. And I think realistically for the Model X, people are going to use the added performance in their, taking off from the line at the stoplight or intersection or the quarter mile. But yeah, I don't see the Model X showing up on the track too many times.
All right. Well, I'm again. Listen, this is the video where people put comments. Alex, such a Tesla hater. I guess I'm a little surprised by this. I'm a little surprised by this, and I remember Elon replied to Porsche, kind of making fun of them with their name, which they should be made fun of for that and stuff like that. And I'm torn between him being a competitor and trying to be best at everything, right? Which actually I don't mind, because he is leading the way. He's dragging everybody forward, right? Pushing and yelling and screaming. But at the same time, just like, I'm wondering, is it good to chase so many other brands that are going to be coming out and kind of hitting you from whole different sides? So on one hand, I want him to like try to beat them. On another hand, I want him to just kind of settle down and just do their own thing, be Tesla and be good at what you're good at, but not necessarily having to compete with everybody. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the places where Tesla's drawn the line and decided they're going to be the best is in performance. And they've had that reputation all the way along. And they've got one place where Porsche found a crevice that they went after them hard for. So Tesla came back and said, yeah, don't worry, we've already got a solution developed and we're going to be faster than you and cheaper than you. I think there's going to be a lot of things where Tesla is not going to be competing on, but it seems that performance is one that they've chosen as a company and as a brand. They're going to stay as a leader. I think you're absolutely right. They can't chase everyone, but if they decide they want to be the highest performance electric car of a mass-produced vehicle, then they should stick to that. Now, when another car comes out with, comes out way cheaper than them, I don't see them chasing that game. I think we're going to see some other feature sets out that Tesla doesn't chase. But so long as they focus on what's important to them as a brand, and performance is definitely one of them, I think they're going to be okay.
All right. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see, and then I guess let's see what Porsche's reply to this is going to be, because I don't see them sitting on their hands either. Though I think they should be busy trying to come up with a cheaper model for the Taycan and compete with Tesla that way. For now,
really need, like, the sooner they can come out with a cheaper model, the better. Because the longer they sit out here with just 150K or 185K car, the less people are going to buy the Taycan instead of the gas equivalents.
I totally agree.
Is. Like, again, it just is. Like, at the price point of the Taycan Turbo S, it is more expensive than a 911 Turbo S. So, yeah. Like, I mean, that's a tough comparison to make.
It is. One thing that, by the way, I think Tesla might reconsider is the doors in a Roadster. I think a lot of people buy the exotic cars because the doors go up and the Roadster still goes like this. I think this is one of those things that they might want to reconsider. I can see literally, people who don't care whether it's $250,000 or $1 million going for another car simply because doors go up. And I think those people who used to watch Silicon Valley and HBO, one of the last episodes showcased that actually a lot of rich people, like, that's what they really want to see. So
the suicide doors, yeah, those are super popular in the people who buy supercar and hypercars. I love the way it opens, that you put your finger down that thing. It's just a digital way that it opens. That's super cool. But yeah, I think having a suicide door option is not unreasonable. Or, Tesla's take on a suicide door, right? Like, there's the Model X, they didn't do the Gull Wings, they did the Falcon Wings, that had a unique opening. Oh. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that. But, the Roadster is a perfect example of, that's a car that Elon was so excited about because it was designed to just, in the halo effect that is gas vehicles, right? To create an electric vehicle that beats the best gas vehicles ever at their own game, and that's acceleration and top end speed. So the fact that Tesla is sticking with their brand and being the best in performance, I mean, that's in line with things that they've already done. And one of the big things that proves that is next gen Roadster.
Well, okay, so, but I thought suicide doors are like this. I thought these doors are like wing doors or something like that. I might be confusing my exotic car terminology because it's
me too, because I've owned so many of them.
Yeah, I thought suicide doors do this, and I thought wing doors do this. All right, well,
maybe I meant wing doors.
Wing doors. Anyway, all right, well, listen, we'll see what happens from it. They're definitely stealing the news from the Taycan. No, it's hard to be German. I gotta tell you, man. Go in there in Germany and see how hard German manufacturers are pushing their own cars. And you can see it on the streets. Like, I walked through a regular neighborhood and I was like, wait, all I see is BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches, and Audis. But it's like being in Michigan, right? Like, where everybody drives a Chevy or Ford because it's just like it's being pushed and all in incentives and stuff like that. So Taycan was definitely, front and center, but the news from Tesla is definitely sipping through, and people are talking about it. So, all right, man. Well, listen, tell us a little bit about your next podcast. I know a lot of our viewers listen to your podcast as well. What's next?
Yeah, so on this week's episode, we actually have our friend Soph coming on. He was the first person to have his Autopilot 2.0 Model S upgraded to the 3.0 hardware. He took his vehicle in for service, and one of the things he found out when he got it back was that they upgraded the autopilot chip for him. And he's the first one to have that happen. So we're going to bring him on as our guest for our regular episode. He's going to talk a little bit about that and what his experience has been with the upgrade.
Cool, man. Can't wait. And as always, thanks for joining me. And I will see you next week.
Thanks for having me, Alex. And don't forget, stay charged.
All right. I love this. Okay, so it's always good to have Eli on the show. I have to say that I was a little behind on this whole news because simply because, being in Frankfurt and trying to get through all of the news that's happening in Frankfurt and coming back and keeping up with that was, I was a little behind. So I'm glad I had Eli on the show. By the way, if you want to listen to his podcast or join his My Tesla Adventure Club here in California, the links are in the description of this video. Let me know in the comment section what do you guys think, because especially if you have a Model S right now, especially if you have a Raven, maybe if you're a reservation holder for Taycan, what are your thoughts on Taycan right now? What are your thoughts on Tesla trying to compete with Taycan, if that's the right thing to do? And of course, don't forget to join our VIP list. That one is free, much like Biden reservations. So have at it in the description of this video. You can go to e4electric.com/VIP. My jet lag is really setting in, so I better say a bye, and I will review your comments once I get some sleep. All right, talk to you later, and of course, remember to stay charged.